It is a beautiful weather night in downtown Cincinnati, and welcome to Great American Ballpark. The first of a 6-game homestand. It begins with the first of 2 against the Kansas City Royals in Interleague Baseball. And hi again, everybody, alongside Chris Welsh and Jim Day, Tom Brenneman at Great American Ballpark. Great to have you with us, and great to be back on the home front, and great to have Luis Castillo on the mound. He has been mighty good in this ballpark, Chris, over the last couple of years.
You know, Tom, it always was amazing to me how good Johnny Cueto was in this ballpark. It seemed to get into everybody else's head except Cueto. It doesn't get into the head of Luis Castillo either. You know, he's throwing the ball harder this year than he has before. He's still getting strikeouts. You know, he's not registering the same kind of success. I mean, he pitched the last game where the Reds lost 13-0. But, you know, you still feel very good about him being on the mound. 97 plus, and that great changeup is a pretty good combination.
Well, one guy in the lineup who figures to give them some support is Jesse Winker, swinging the bat better than we've seen him really in about a year and a half.
Well, and he's in the lineup again against a left-hander. I mean, usually that's reserved for Joey Votto and Joey Votto alone, but when you're swinging as many line drives off your bat as Winker is, you got to get him in there as much as possible, using all the fields, not trying to overpower the ball. You know, it's just good to see because he was very hot in the original spring training. He was hot in summer camp, and this kid's proving to everybody he can flat out hit.
Now, the Kansas City Royals, a lot of people, you know, they kind of wrote these guys off, not being a contender in the American League Central Division. Well, not so fast. They've had a killer schedule. They come in on a 4-game winning streak. They just got finished knocking off the Minnesota Twins, and they are really hitting the ball.
Well, they are, and it's a nice combination of youth, kids that they drafted in 2018, and maybe some retreads that you remember from other ball clubs but are veterans now that are all kind of coming together. This could be one of those years for a team that you would normally think is rebuilding, that they think they're a contender.
Well, a big lift for them after missing all of last year. He's their main guy. In the clubhouse, on the field, catcher Salvador Perez.
Well, Salvador Perez is as strong as they come. He's got a great arm. He's recovering from Tommy John surgery that he had and did miss the entire year last year. But, I mean, the last few games, he's just scalding the ball. And here's a wise memo to Luis Castillo. Make sure you see where he is in the on-deck circle, because you don't want runners on base when he comes to the plate. He squares it up, and it goes a long, long way.
All right, when we come back, his series is quite interesting because what the Reds do well, the Royals on the other end do really well. A matchup of strengths. That and more coming up next. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by Chevy. Check out their award-winning lineup only at your tri-state Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good. It's Skyline time. Well, it'll be a 4-game series overall between these two teams this year. 2 here and then 2 next week in Kansas City. The teams did the same thing in 2018. And you see the Royals, the all-time leaders, at 15-10. And the Royals have played well in this ballpark. Game storyline presented by Elk and Elk. We talked about what the Reds do really well, and the starting pitchers hold opponents to the best in all of baseball, a 183 batting average. But the Royals this year against starting pitchers, the best in baseball, hitting nearly 100 points higher. So, Chris, that's something to keep an eye on.
Well, it is, but I don't think they've seen the kind of pitching staff that the Reds are running out there, and they haven't seen, for instance, the Cleveland Indians pitching staff as well, and they will see them eventually. So I think that good pitching, and the Reds have it, will stop good hitting. Let's hope that starts tonight.
All right, Luis Castillo on the mound tonight against the left-hander, the youngster Chris Bubich. First pitch from Great American Ballpark coming up next.
Telecast is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Beautifully done on tonight's national anthem. Caught the tail end of that one for you on the home front. And welcome to Great American Ballpark. A humid night here tonight for the opener of this two-game series, interleague series with the Royals we brought up earlier. The two teams will get together in Kansas City next week. And Luis Castillo makes his way from the Reds' first base side dugout, preparing for his fourth start of the year. Chris, his first start, he was lights out. The next two, at least as far as what we expect from Luis Castillo, have been subpar.
Well, yeah, you know, it's amazing how you raise the bar of expectations when you have, you get an opening day start like he did last year, and he's opening day starter 1A this year, and everybody expects him to be in the Cy Young Award race, when you start the season. But he still has an incredibly talented array of pitches. He can be dominant. He's striking out a lot of hitters. He's throwing strikes. Right now, a couple of the small sample size things are working against him. We'll tell you about that as the game goes on. But I like the way he matches up, especially with so many right-handers in this Kansas City lineup.
All right, let's take a look at the lineup presented by Jeff Weiler Automotive. It'll be Whit Merrifield in center, the former Cub Jorge Soler, the DH, and Perez behind the plate. Hunter Dozier just came back off the injured list in right. Ryan O'Hearn, the first baseman, and Mondesi, exciting young shortstop. Former Philly Maikel Franco down at third. Longtime Royal Alex Gordon in left, and Nicky Lopez will play second base. Take a look at the Reds defensively, presented by Ford, and look who's back in there tonight. Nick Senzel in center. Winker is starting left, Castellanos in right. Middle infield tonight, Farmer and Colon. Farmer in there at the shortstop position, and Casali hanging the signs for Castillo. C.B. Buckner calling the balls and strikes. And we are set to go at Great American Ballpark, the Reds and the Royals. Reds at 7-9, Kansas City 7-10. First pitch, strike one, says C.B. Buckner, and this one is underway. 85 degrees, certainly some humidity in the air. And a roller foul behind the plate. Well, you talk about an iron man, that would be Whit Merrifield. He waited many, many years to get to the big leagues, and he's not about to sit even one out. Tonight playing in his 265th consecutive game, the longest active streak in Major League Baseball. And he has gone on 3 pitches to start the game.
Well, the newfound slider for Luis Castillo, and I think that was it. It could have been a changeup right there. Is one pitch that's going to help him when he faces right-handers. I say all the right-handers. The right-handers seem to bat in the top half of the lineup, and the switch hitter and then left-handers are in the bottom half. So obviously your better hitters are going to be batting up top. I kind of like this matchup here with Castillo.
Now the one-time Chicago Cub Jorge Soler hit a club record 48 home runs a year ago, 10 more than Mike Moustakas' prior club record of 38 in 2017. It was the third most home runs in all of Major League Baseball. Only Pete Alonso of the Mets and Eugenio Suarez hit more home runs last year than did Soler, and he comes in red hot. On base percentage at .375, home runs. And really the story for the Royals, the number of extra base hits. They have the most extra base hits in the American League, the second most extra base hits in all of baseball.
Well, Soler's got plenty of power, obviously, but it's funny because he was traded from the Cubs. He was an up-and-coming, bright, young Cuban prospect that the Cubs had, and they traded him to Kansas City for Wade Davis, and then had to wait a few years for it to come all together. He was actually sent down to the minor leagues. He was injured. He just never really put anything together like they thought he would, but he certainly seems to be following up on what he did last year when he had 40 home runs.
And what a start by Castillo. Back-to-back strikeouts against these two right-handed batters. And here comes yet another in Perez.
Well, this is definitely the changeup right here, and it goes down and in, and Boy, you know what really set that up, though, was that Luis Castillo was just painting the outside corner with the first 2 strikes. I mean, if he is on the edges the way he has been so far in the first 2 batters, this would be a nice night to watch.
Salvador Perez missed all of last year, as we talked about a short while ago, with Tommy John surgery, and my oh my did they miss him. I mean, look, how many more games they would have won, there's no telling. They did not have a good club. They haven't for the last couple of years. But he is very much the heart and soul of this team. Ground ball to Farmer, and a real nice start for Castillo. An 11-pitch inning, setting the side down in order. Up 9 down, 4.5 behind the front-running Cubs in the National League Central Division. And his lineup tonight reads as follows, brought to you by Jeff Wyler Automotive. Senzel in center, Castellanos in right, Votto at first, Suarez at third, Davidson the DH, Jesse Winker in left, and a latter third of Casale, the former Royal and postseason hero, Christian Colon, and Kyle Farmer is the shortstop. In his first full year out of pro ball, graduating from Stanford, Chris Bubich led all minor league pitchers with 185 strikeouts. He pitched an A ball last year, and now he begins 2020 in the big leagues.
Yeah, talk about getting to the big leagues in a hurry. You know, the combination of having a short 60-game season, having a team that might contend, and looking toward a lot of college pitchers that they drafted over the last few years. Bubich is a guy that has really ascended through the system in a hurry. He's only 22 years old. He'll actually be 23 later on next week. Not overpowering guys, got a nice array of off-speed stuff, especially the breaking pitch and the changeup.
I mean, that's no fooling around. You're pitching in Wilmington last year. It's single-A baseball. So here we go. Senzel back in the lineup. Tweaked a groin, you may remember, going first to third while the team was on the road, and sat out the last couple of games of that Brewers series. Here's the 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Senzel had to leave that game. He was injured in the very first inning. A runner at first base, single by Davidson. He went to third and immediately bent over at the waist. That ball is into the Reds dugout and out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Senzel. 7 hits and 30 at bats with a home run, 4 doubles, a team high, and 4 runs batted in. Really pulled the string on that changeup, and that badly fooled Senzel. 1 batter, 1 strikeout for Bubich.
Well, that is one of his go-to pitches, no question about it. We get the advantage of looking into his glove from that center field camera. He throws a typical circle changeup, doesn't really turn it over that much, but takes a lot off the speed and sells it like a fastball. He actually went back-to-back changeups on Senzel, the second one being a really good one.
So now it'll be Castellanos. 17 hits so far this year, 7 of them home runs, 16 runs batted in. Castellanos went back-to-back games for the first time this year without a base hit the final 2 games of that Milwaukee series. Of course, outside of that, he's done everything you'd ever want a player to do.
You know, Tom, I'm not sure we can show this because of our restrictions with cameras and a number of people we have in a ballpark shooting the scene, but this Royals outfield is playing as deep as I have ever seen any team play here at Great America. I mean, they're almost up against the warning track. And I'm not really sure the strategy behind that, because anything that gets behind these guys, I mean, if you're thinking about a ball that gets behind the outfielders, it's got to land on the warning track. I mean, there's a lot of room between the infield and the outfielder right there. Kind of crazy.
2-2. And a one-hopper. What a pickup by the shortstop, Mondesi, and showing off that arm. That's a nice play. Alberto Mondesi.
Well, his dad, Raul Mondesi, had one of the best arms of his generation when he played for he played here and he played in Los Angeles. That's where Alberto was born, and he does show it off. Makes a nice grab, a couple of quick steps to his left, and a rifle shot is the only reason they were able to get Castellanos.
Well, his dad, not only a great athlete, his mother, great athlete too. Here comes Votto, and he rips one into right field, a base hit. Votto will make the turn and slam on the brakes. That's a good play out there by Hunter Dozier. And good to see Joey get a base hit. He did not have a single hit through Cleveland and Milwaukee on the last road trip.
Well, the one thing we're noticing from Joey Votto this year is that he is pulling the ball a lot more. I mean, it used to be against his grain to get out there and pull the ball down the right field line, especially early in the at-bat. But he hit it very hard right in the meat part of that wood.
Snaps an 0 for 13 stretch for Votto. He's aboard to keep the inning alive for Eugenio Suarez.
Trying to tease Suarez upstairs with a little four-seamer. Bubic is not overpowering by any means, but it's all of his fastballs are to set up the off-speed stuff. And for 22 years old, I mean, there are a lot of 22-year-olds that are still in college. He's got a pretty good feel.
Grounded foul, and it's 1-1 strike on Suarez. 7 hits in his first 53 at bats, 2 doubles, 2 home runs, 6 driven in for Suarez. Keep you up to date on what else is going around throughout the night in Major League Baseball. Cardinals are still not playing. Their series with the Pirates has already been wiped out. Cardinals have played a grand total of 5 games. By far the fewest in the major leagues. And I know we've talked about it a little bit over the weekend as it goes to 2-2, but you know, as each passing day comes and goes, it makes you wonder, Chris, is it feasible for the Cardinals to be able to get up to 60 games when you look at a calendar? Unless it's going to be not every night, but every 3 or 4 days, the Cardinals will be asked if and when they ever start playing again a doubleheader.
Well, they're going to have a lot of doubleheaders no matter what, and people always think immediately about doubleheaders. Do we have enough pitching? But when you're trying to win games in a compressed season like this, and you're running your best players out there, you have a chance to just get them just dead dog tired in just a handful of doubleheaders, and it will take a while to recover. This has been just devastating for the Cardinals, and I'm not sure how MLB is eventually going to handle that.
Well, the first baseman Ryan O'Hearn looking in the dugout, trying to figure out what the coaching staff would like him to do here. Mike Matheny, of course, is a first-year manager of these Royals, and we saw him win a lot of games here and everywhere else during his run as manager of the St. Louis Cardinals. Ned Yost stepped down as skipper in KC. 3-2 on Suarez. To the third baseman Franco, and the inning is over. 1 hit, 1 left, end of 1. We are scoreless.
The Reds started Luis Castillo, a fastball pitcher against a fastball hitting team. This is kind of interesting. The Royals are the best team in baseball when it comes to hitting the fastball. They average almost 315 on that, and Luis Castillo this year is giving up a high opponent batting average on the fastball. That's because they hit 0 on the changeup. And there's a first pitch fastball that's lined for a base hit.
As if on cue. Royals are so excited to have that man right there, Ryan Dozier, back in their lineup. He just returned over the weekend against the Minnesota Twins.
Well, he missed a handful of games last year, but when he finally came back, had a career high 26 home runs, drove in 84. 28-year-old that was a former first-round pick back in 2013 by the Royals.
Yeah, they've been waiting a while for him to come of age, and it finally happened last year. In fact, he became the first Royal and one of only 5 players in the major leagues over the last 30 years to have at least 25 doubles, 10 triples, and 25 home runs in a season. That's a good year. Now Ryan O'Hearn. Wow. Hammered down the right field line on another Castillo fastball. And on his way to third, being held there, is Dozier. So you started this inning talking about it being a good fastball hitting team, and teams hitting Castillo's fastball. 2 rockets to begin this Kansas City second inning.
Well, that'll be a wake-up call to Castillo and Kurt Casale, because that's not all that bad of a spot right there. He was right on the inner part of the plate. I don't know about O'Hearn getting around on that, but he really has a quick swing. So if you're right along now thinking with Castillo, damage control, you want to make sure you strand the guy that's on second base. The guy from third scores, that's something that's probably going to happen anyway.
Mondesi, one of the few slow starters for Kansas City this year. And, you know, his batting average isn't all that bad at .250, but compared to some of the rest of these guys, he's a weak link in the operation.
Now, he made it to the big leagues very young. He was 20 years old when they first called him up in 2016. A real speedster.
Infield in on the grass to the left side. And that's a called strike. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Mondesi.
Talked about Mondesi and his speed. He had more triples last year than he did home runs. Led the league with 10 triples last year, had 9 home runs, even in a year in which the ball was really flying. He was flying faster.
Second and third, nobody out. And pulls a string on him to get the strikeout. That's the first out here in the inning. 3rd strikeout in the game.
Wow, the go-to pitch is actually more trouble for left-handers than it is right-handers when it kind of fades away, down and away from those lefties like that. If they do hit it, it's going to be weak contact.
Here's another guy off to a big start. Boy, he looked like he was going to have such a bright future in Philadelphia. Put together 3 really good years, 4 actually, once he came up. And then the wheels fell off last season for Maikel Franco. But what a start this year. Tied for the American League lead with 11 extra base hits. and has 5 extra base hits just in the last 5 games alone. Very good numbers against Cincinnati pitching during his days in Philadelphia. Infield backs up, conceding the run with 1 out. And here's a 1-1 with 2nd and 3rd. Started 2, could not pull the trigger. A breaking ball in the outside corner.
Well, early indications are that C.B. Bucknor is calling those edges here tonight.
All right, 1-2 on Franco. And a fastball he chases up and out of the zone and fouls it out of play.
He's had a couple pretty good swings against that high heater. He had a high pitch, first pitch, I think it was a slider that he had a good swing at. Not a bad swing at that one. He looks like he would be very good covering the inner part of the plate. Short arms, very strong. Not a guy I think you try to get in his kitchen and live in there, especially with 2 strikes. They're coming in though. With a changeup.
Talking about Franco, I mean, he put together some really good years after coming up regularly in 2015. He was hitting home run seasons of 25, 24, 22, knocking anywhere from 70 to as many as 88 runs. But then hit in the 230s last year, and the Phillies decided they weren't going to pay him. 1-2. High fly ball. Short left field. Do they test the arm of Winker from here? They will not. And a throw to the plate cut off by Suarez. So a second big out right there for Luis Castillo.
Well, that was shallow enough that if they were going to go, that would be just a flip of the coin right there. And no way, they didn't wait to see where the throw was. It was a strong enough throw from Winker. Now Luis Castillo 1 out away from getting out of a jam.
Alex Gordon all the way down in that number 8 spot in the batting order. 10 of 54 with a home run, 4 driven in, and a couple of doubles. Suarez even with a bag at 3rd. Ball 1.
Boy, this Royals ball club has former #1 draft picks sprinkled all over their roster. Gordon is one too. Of course, he is now 36 years old. He was drafted the 2nd player taken in the 2005 draft.
Outstanding defensive player, always has been Gordon, and his years of swinging a big bat more than likely behind him, but still a threat there at the plate. Three-0.
Tom, you go back to that 2005 draft, just the names that you'll recognize. The #1 player in the country taken that year was Justin Upton. But also in the first round, Ryan Zimmerman, Ryan Braun, Troy Tulowitzki, Andrew McCutchen, Jay Bruce.
Who the Reds take with their first pick in that draft? Because Bruce was not a first-round pick, was he? Swing and a miss.
Indeed he was.
Bruce was in 07.
12th pick
05.
overall. 05.
Yeah,
12th
05,
pick
I'm
overall.
sorry. A lot of good players. It's a big pitch right here coming up. 2nd and 3rd, 2 outs. 3-1 to Gordon. And off the inside corner to load him up.
He thought he had a strike there, I think Castillo did. It would have made it a full count. It looked like it was right on the edge. One thing that probably didn't work for him, though, is that Casale wanted that ball down and away, and he had to move all the way over to the other side of the plate to catch it.
You know, Chris frequently talks about you know, it's always not the situation of who you face, but when you face him. There's a reason why Nicky Lopez is batting ninth in the batting order. But he comes in on a 6-game hitting streak. Started the year for 2 for 16, but since has 7 hits in his last 18 at bats. Loaded with 2 outs. Strike 1.
Yeah, but all in all, I mean, if you're fall behind in the count to Alex Gordon, or you have Nicky Lopez coming up next, you got to force it any base now. The infield can play back. I don't think there's much history here between Castillo and Lopez.
Well, Castillo has virtually 0 history against anybody up and down this entire Kansas City roster. In fact, the only Royal who has ever faced him is Maikel Franco, and that's all of 6 at bats.
Well, Castillo could bounce one right in front of home plate right here, and Lopez is going to hack.
Nothing, and to the count with the bases loaded on the second baseman, Nicky Lopez. Two balls and 2 strikes. The Royals have them loaded here in inning number 2. Soft liner caught by the second baseman Colon, and what a job by Castillo. Second and third, nobody out, and the Royals come up empty. Presented by Ford. Gordon, an outstanding defender in left field, joined by Merrifield and Hunter Dozier. Franco Mondesi, Lopez, O'Hearn third to first, and Perez behind the plate. Tonight is the first game all year long where the 8 position players that are on the field and in the Kansas City lineup is exactly what Mike Matheny had planned for this year. But due to injuries and sickness and so on and so forth, tonight is the first night they've run their regular 8 at the same time. So they're very excited. They're on a 4-game winning streak. Reds are trying to end that streak here tonight. Scoreless game after a marvelous job by Castillo in the top of the inning. We'll see what the Reds have in store against Bubic. Ball 1 to Matt Davidson, the designated hitter.
That's a momentum changer, an inning like that. I mean, it picks Castillo up big time. It picks your whole ball club up. I mean, it looked pretty dire there. First couple of batters hit the ball and hit the ball very hard off Castillo.
Davidson's seen a lot of these Royals. 27 games through the years. Those seasons inside the American League Central Division with the Chicago White Sox, and there's a 4-pitch walk to start the inning. That'll bring up Jesse Winker. Winker, the hottest hitter in the Cincinnati lineup by far right now. Strike 1. Had the best road trip 4 games as a DH, 1 start out and left. So he started all 5 games, had 8 hits in 14 at bats, 2 doubles, a home run, a couple of runs batted in. One ball and 1 strike on Jesse. One of the keys for the Royals, and a big reason why they have won 4 games in a row besides hitting the cover off the ball, and that they've done. Winker not so sure about that call. They have led in the 4-game win streak in all but 2 innings. And even though they have some quote-unquote retreads, if you will, down in that bullpen, they've got some guys really throwing the ball well. When their bullpen comes into games, they pretty much nailed it down if they've had a lead. Breaking ball in the dirt, 2-2 to Winker.
And when I use the word retreads, I don't use it in a derogatory way. These are pitchers that you will have heard of, and you thought they may have disappeared for a while, and now they're resurfacing, doing a great job.
Well, a couple of them did disappear for a while. Trevor Rosenthal, who at one time was a hard-throwing, flame-throwing closer for Mike Matheny and the St. Louis Cardinals, has been injured for the better part of the last 2-3 years. He's back, and according to Matheny himself, throwing the ball as well now as he did back in his days with St. Louis. And the beat goes on for Jesse Winker. Boy, Davidson slams on the brakes at second base, and Winker with another base hit. So now the Reds threatening to begin the inning.
What a good level swing. Bubic has to come in with a strike right there, and you can see a little bit of the infield wide open up the middle. Boy, he has been hitting the ball right on the button. I imagine that, the winter time for Jesse Winker was rather a stressful one. When he looked at the moves the Reds made to bolster the outfield, they signed Castellanos. There goes right field. They have a healthy Nick Senzel coming back. You sign Shogo Akiyama, and he's probably thinking, I'm the odd man out. The only way to stay in the lineup is swing the bat.
Well, here's a guy like Joey Votto who went hitless on the last road trip, and that is Curt Casali. Oh for 11. Now Votto, his first time up tonight, hammered one into right for a hit. We'll see if Casali can do the same. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Well, they're not so sure that Casali might have intentions to bunt or not. The first baseman playing a little bit shallow right there.
Well, the other part of this combination is A, how much has Casali actually bunted in his life. B, it might not be the slowest combination the Reds could put on the base pass, but it's not far off.
And a forced play at third base.
Sure. 2-1 to count on Curt Casali. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Now let me ask you, since you brought it up, and obviously the Royals were wondering the same thing by the way they were set up defensively early in the count. If you're David Bell and you have a team where 4 or 5 of your regulars are hitting under 200, as a team you're hitting under 200, do you consider starting to mix in some small ball from time to time if you have the right guys?
If you have the right combination, might be something you think about, but I think early in the game like this, bottom of the order, you don't do it. You swing away and hope for the best.
And hit into that hit the runner.
That actually was a good play by Davidson.
Right.
That's a tailor-made double play. And Mike Matheny's probably thinking of a way to try to tell the umpire he did this on purpose, which he didn't do. You can see him try to jump out of the way of the ball. He is immediately out. Ball is dead, and it saved the Reds another out right there.
that is scored a base hit, and then a put out is given to the shortstop. So that's actually a base hit for Kurt Casale, infield hit.
You think Davidson's going to take credit for being a smart base runner right there?
Why not? Hey,
I mean, absolutely.
The shoe fits, right? Because you're right, that would have been an easy double play. Here's Christian Colon. So many of these Royals were so excited, at least those that are still around, and they've got a couple of them here and there that are still around from their World Series title team. Gordon's still around, Perez is still around, Holland's come back. So excited to see Colon back in the big leagues. You know, he only had, what, 2 at-bats in the postseason runs of 14 and 15. 2. Here's a dribbler down to third. Franco will take the out there. Second out of the inning. And Colon has 2 career hits in the postseason, both of them in the 12th inning of clinching games. In 2013, in the American League wildcard game, he had an RBI infield hit that tied the game and then scored the go-ahead winning run for the Royals. 2 years later, World Series against the Mets in Game 5, and they won it in 5. He had an RBI single that gave him the go-ahead winning run for the Royals. So, I mean, this guy lives in Kansas City lore forever. And he had 2 total at-bats in 2 different runs during the postseason. 0-1 to Kyle Farmer. 2 on, 2 out. Scoot him up. 1 ball, 1 strike. Quick throw down to first. Oh boy, if that throw's on the money, they may have caught Colon napping down there. That throw is a little bit high.
Well, it was a pre-played plan or play. You see that pre-planned play. You can see the first baseman O'Hearn sneaking around as the ball was coming to the plate. And you always want to test that strong arm of Salvador Perez, but you want to do it when you have a very short lead.
All right, 2-1 now to Farmer. Each team putting the first 2 on, and it's half of the second inning. Castillo able to get out of it. See if the Reds can deliver a 2-out knock from Farmer. Oh, he had a good swing and a good pitch to hit. Fouled it back. Two on, 2 out. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Second inning. Ball 3. Interesting series beginning tonight up in Cleveland. The Cubbies taking on that pitching we saw from the Cleveland Indians starting tonight. 3-2. Runners get started. And a high fly ball right center field, and that's up against the wall. 2 runs are going to score, and Kyle Farmer with a big 2-out, 2-run double to give Cincinnati a 2-0 lead. How about Kyle Farmer?
Well, he had an excellent at bat because he worked the count full, and then Bubic had to come in there with something. I think it was a changeup that he threw right there. It was, but he got it way up in the zone. Farmer's a good high ball hitter. Chula out there in right center field. First Chula of the year.
So now Senzel batting for the second time in as many innings, and the Reds out to a 2-0 lead here tonight. Runner in scoring position, Farmer after the double. Ball one to Senzel, who struck out swinging his first time up. Straight away center field hit hard, but right at Merrifield, and that'll retire the side. But Farmer delivers a 2-out, 2-run double, giving the Reds a 2-0 lead. Of the founding of the Negro Leagues, a Reds Hall of Fame and Museum, proud to showcase a Shades of Greatness exhibit presented by Dinsmore. For details, visit redsmuseum.org. Reds 2, Kansas City nothing. And Luis Castillo worked out a second and third, nobody out. Bases loaded, 2 outs. First pitch, a fastball and a liner into right center off the bat of Merrifield, run down by Senzel. 1 pitch, 1 out. Boy, they do hit the fastball. I mean, they have made very, very solid contact on some Castillo fastballs early in this game.
Well, overall, teams are swinging the bat more aggressively against Luis Castillo, especially early in the count. You know, nobody wants to get into a situation where you have to see that changeup, and your chances of getting the fastball on the first pitch are very good. And that's what happened so far this year. In fact, they're swinging about 8% more than they did last year against Castillo overall.
One ball, one strike to Soler. Big swing and a miss. Off speed away from him. Tried the same pitch again, and this time he does not chase it. Same start time tomorrow, game 2, final game of this series. Wade Miley coming off the injured list to start tomorrow night. Only 1 start so far this year. Fastball off the outside corner, and the count runs full. Brad Keller off to a very good start for Kansas City. Will start it tomorrow night. Then the Pirates in for 4. I was wondering why that game on Thursday started at 5:10. That's our start time here on Thursday. I was told that they asked all the major league clubs to do that, so that Field of Dreams game across the board would be a huge showcase event for Major League Baseball on Thursday night. So there you have it. Now, the reason they scheduled that was for that reason, but now that Field of Dreams game is canceled. And so I'm a little surprised that the Reds had not moved back that starting time. There'll be 4 games in that series, all with different start times.
It'll be tough hitting. I don't know about the rest of the league. It'll be tough hitting here on Thursday at that time of day.
That at bat got away from Castillo. He was ahead of Soler at 1 ball and 2 strikes and missed on the next 3, issuing his second walk of the game.
Although I play with a lot of guys who are great hitters at 5 o'clock.
They're littered all over the place. Yeah. That's that old simple question. When guys are putting on a show in BP, what time is it? Slow roller, bobbled by Suarez, charging all the way, and Perez safely at first base.
Well, with Salvador Perez running, you've got all day to make this play. And he tries to get in there to get a little bit shorter hop, and it just came up on him a little bit. mean, Perez not even in the picture yet. There he is finally.
Still waiting on a scoring decision. The official scorers, as we've talked about many, many times, are scoring the game from their homes now around Major League Baseball. They're not here at the ballpark. So when we know, we'll let you know. Strike one to Hunter Dozier. He hit a rocket into left field, a base hit, and was stranded at third an inning ago. So Castillo going to have to pitch out of trouble for a second straight inning after a perfect first inning. Swing and a miss. Boy, that had some life. That was ruled a base hit by Salvador Perez. 0-2 to Hunter Dozier. Two on, one out, 0-2 on the Kansas City right fielder. Bounces up there and smothered by Casale. Those sounds you hear in the background, along with some lightly piped in crowd noise, the grounds crew has all their instruments down there beyond the Reds' first base dugout. And by the way, that's been changed, that scoring decision. It's an error on Suarez. Ground ball right side. Joey bobbles the ball. That's an error. Safe everywhere.
Well, ironically, it's the Royals this year that have not flashed very good glove work. They've had some problems defensively. The Reds are usually pretty sure-handed, although they get errors in this inning from the fielders on the corner. That ball just goes right underneath the glove of Joey.
So they are loaded for Ryan O'Hearn. Remember, he got a fastball from Castillo an inning ago, and I mean, he just whacked it down the right field corner for a double. Hit it very, very hard. Sees a changeup on the first pitch this time. A walk and a couple of errors have loaded him up for the Royals. 2-0. Back-to-back changeups. So does Castillo now, on a 2-0 count, have to challenge O'Hearn, who blistered that fastball the last time, with another fastball here. Well, and a quick visit to the mound by Derek Johnson.
You know, the way he sets up and the way he strides, O'Hearn is ready for a pitch on the outer part of the plate. And we'll see what Derek Johnson comes up with to try to settle Castillo down. He's already given the Royals 3 outs in this inning. He needs 2 more.
Well, some of you perhaps can hear it at home. Joey Votto is screaming at himself out at first base. We can hear it all the way up here from the third level. He is really bent out of shape. Just seething down there. Threw him another changeup on 2-0.
Well, one thing consistent about Castillo tonight is that his changeup is just a little bit off the plate. I don't know if he's trying to hit the corner with it, but
He's just missing on that right-handed batter's box side.
Came with a fastball, and O'Hearn takes it for a strike. 3-1.
You know, sometimes you get a couple guys in a lineup that hit you hard, and all of a sudden you think they're better than they really are. You throw them a good pitch here, your best pitch, maybe even take a little bit off, throw it for a strike, and you just may get a ground ball to get you out of the inning.
Tardy on a fastball that time, and the count is full. Three balls and two strikes. Bases loaded, one out. And a high drive into deep left field, and that ball is up against the wall. One run will score. The runners had to wait to see if Winker had a chance to catch it. Although one could argue the runner at second base, Perez, had a bird's eye view. There was no way Winker was catching that ball, and the Reds actually get a break with some poor base running. It's a 2-1 game.
Well, the trail runner there is Salvador Perez, so that may be kind of self-explanatory. But this ball slicing, that was not a bad pitch by Castillo. That's a pretty good swing. Now O'Hearn has hit the ball hard to right field. He's hit the ball hard to left field.
Now Mondesi, he struck out with runners at second and third and one out. Now he has them loaded with one out. Big swing and a miss. And looks at a fastball right down the middle. So now it's 0-2 on Mondesi. With the bases loaded, the Reds have a one-run lead. We're just in the third inning here tonight. One ball and two strikes. Got him swinging again. Boy, Mondesi has come up there the last couple of innings in big situations. And it's been a rather easy strikeout.
Well, he's also faced some of Castillo's best pitches right there. That little slider kind of going down and in on him. That's the same pitch he swung over in the first strike of the at-bat.
Now Franco, he popped up to short left field with runners at second and third. One out at the time. Neither runner would advance. And now he's up there with the bases loaded and two down. First pitch swinging, rolled foul. Castillo forced to really come away with 5 outs in this inning. A couple of errors behind him on defense. Can he pitch out of it? The ball's in the air to right field, hit pretty well. Castellanos makes an outstanding play. Crashing into the wall out in right field. Castellanos staying with it. And that's a huge play in this game. Nicely done.
Well, Chris Bubic was just part of that big haul that the Royals made in 2018 in their Major League draft. They didn't pick until the 18th player in the draft. They picked Brady Singer, big tall right-hander out of University of Florida. Got Jackson Kovar, also from University of Florida. Daniel Lynch. Chris Bubic came as the number 40th pick in that draft. And they picked up a couple of those because you say, well, how can one team get 4 first-round picks? Well, they lost 2 free agents that year. They lost Lorenzo Cain. So the second pick in the first round they got from that, and they also lost Eric Hosmer. So the third pick, Daniel Lynch, is the guy that they got for that. And then Chris Bubik was what they call now the competitive balance pick.
Bubich jumps ahead 0-2 on Castellanos. He'll be followed by Votto and then Suarez. Reds with a 2-1 lead. They bat in the third. And all those guys you just mentioned, Chris, along with one other college pitcher who I think was right around 64. They had 5 of the top 65 picks in the country that year. All college pitchers. And they think that's going to, really set the table for perhaps another big run in Kansas City.
Well,
see how it plays out.
They did not draft a high school player until the 9th round. So they went college. They wanted to fix it as soon as they could. They've got some young players that are good players here. And they realize, like many small market teams, that the draft is the way, the easiest, the most inexpensive way to get you being competitive.
Bubich misses again, high and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Castellanos. He grounded out on a nice play made by the shortstop Mondesi to his left in the first inning. Bubich wanted that call. He is really upset out there on the mound. He thought this was strike 3. Hooked into deep left center field. Merrifield on the run, dives and not going to get it. This could be 3 bases for Castellanos. He makes a turn on his way to third, and he is in there sliding with a triple. His first 3-base hit as a Red.
Well, he gets an extra pitch in the at-bat, and it's the second time in this young ball game that Bubich has kind of got that changeup up and out over the plate. And Castellanos with terrific plate coverage. Boy, what an effort by Merrifield, unable to come up with it. And a guy that normally gets and stops at second goes all the way into third.
So now the Royals will bring their infield in for Joey Votto. He hooked a single into right field his first time up. A lot of moving and parts going on there as Bubich was about to throw it. Royals moving the shortstop Mondesi over to the first base side a second. They're not all the way in, but better than halfway in. And you mentioned Votto pulling the ball a lot this year.
Yeah, there's a good reason for them to put that shift on, because he is pulling the ball more this year than ever. Hit a single to right field his first time up. That was a very hard hit ball. This is where the command of a young pitcher just oftentimes isn't there as it would be with a more experienced pitcher, where your delivery. I mean, this time last year, this kid's pitching an A-ball. Could have been down in Lexington this time last year.
2-0 the count on Votto. And now 2 balls and a strike.
Now, the pull rate that we were talking about compared to years past, this is very telling with Joey Votto, that he, this year is when he's really pulling the ball. All the other years, they even right out there at 33, 35%. He's up over 55% pull rate this year.
What does that say to you?
Well, what it says to me is that he's looking for fastballs and he's trying to get the ball out ahead. And he used to be very confident in his quickness that he would hit the ball very late and hit the ball to left field. And I think it's just one of the adjustments that Votto's making until maybe either he sees the ball bigger and better, he feels like his reaction time is better.
This will not bring in the runner from third base. One out in the inning. So now the infield will come all the way in with one away in the inning. And Eugenio Suarez, the batter. The Reds with a 2-1 lead. Bubic stands tall on the mound. Castellanos only about a 2-step lead over there at third base. That's as short a lead as I think I've ever seen a runner at third get with a left-handed pitcher on the mound. I know the third baseman is guarding the line, but Bubic obviously has to make a half turn to even think about throwing over there, and he's not throwing over there.
Well, he's not throwing over there, but Salvador Perez might. So, you know, if you're going to take a lead down at third base, you take a lead in foul territory, and then when you go back in fair territory. You basically cut off the throwing lane by the catcher.
One ball, one strike. Infield in for the Royals, and a fastball is at the belt. A strike. Suarez not so sure about that call.
Yeah, a lot of head shaking going on.
That seems to be almost nightly the early part of this year. We saw that a couple of nights out of the 3-game series in Milwaukee. 1 ball and 2 strikes. That was right on the edge.
Bubic has got to be wondering that. Well, wait a minute. The last one was a strike. Those are so difficult to call, though. Those high fastballs. You have to anticipate where the hitter is crouching at the time he would normally take a swing. For instance, with Eugenio Suarez, he starts up when he sets up very tall. He stands straight up in the batter's box. So when he swings, that's when the top of that strike zone begins to shrink a little bit. Some hitters do the exact opposite. That top of the zone is as you begin your swing, halfway point, belt to top of shoulders.
Bounces that one up there after 4 consecutive fastballs, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Struck him out on a high fastball.
Tell you one thing about Chris Bubic, I really am impressed with his command of the top end of the strike zone. I've not been able to figure out what his spin rate is or whether that's one of his special pitches, but you know, having never seen him pitch before, he's not throwing that little sinker down around the knees. He's coming right at the top of the zone, and it's been very impressive.
Second strikeout for the rookie left-hander, and so after a leadoff triple by Castellanos, Bubic gets Votto on a roller to third, strikes out the next batter. This one to deep right center field, and Davidson plays long ball to right center. All of a sudden, Matt Davidson coming up big for the Redlegs. A 2-out, 2-run home run to make it a 4-1 game.
I wasn't sure when that ball came off the bat that he had a chance to even get to the warning track, but he is so strong, and that ball just kept going and going. And a change up again. Got plenty enough of the meat part of the bat.
Castellanos fired up. That's a big fella. Clubs a 2-out, 2-run home run and a 3-run lead for the Reds, their largest lead tonight. Davidson opening some eyes in Reds country. Winker has singled his first time up behind here 0-2. Boy, those are the ones you remember. After you get a couple of guys you're expecting to drive in a run from third base, and this time around anyway, they couldn't get it done, and then bang, just like that. Right hook to the jaw. One ball, 2 strikes on Winker, and a foul ball will do it again. Of the 51 home runs hit by Matt Davidson in his major league career, and he had a couple of seasons there with the White Sox in the American League Central where he hit 46 home runs total. 12 of his 51 home runs in his career have come against the Kansas City Royals. 1-2. Bubic knocking on the door is 70 pitches in the game, and we're not even through the 3rd inning. This ball driven hard into deep left center field, and that's out of here by Jesse Winker. Back to back for the Redlegs with 2 outs here in the 3rd against Bubic. And by the Rockets' red glare, it is a 5-1 Cincinnati lead. Winker is white hot.
Well, welcome to Great American Ballpark, Chris Bubic. Opposite field home run power. We saw plenty of that last year from Jesse Winker. We see it this inning. We saw opposite field home run by Matt Davidson. In this ballpark, you get the ball up. If you provide the altitude, they'll provide the bat.
I mean, even though we're not going on the road, you really, it opens your eyes when you come back to this ballpark after playing on the road. Even if we're announcing off a monitor. And look, Milwaukee's a good hitter's park. Cleveland's a decent hitter's park. But those last 2 home runs, I mean, if you're playing in Kansas City, Bubic is watching somebody haul those in.
No doubt about it. And you mentioned early on, Tom, that it's kind of a humid night, hot.
Yep.
That's when it really begins to go the best.
Look, that's not taking anything away from the home runs. I mean, it's fair for both sides, as the saying goes. Action in the Kansas City bullpen for the first time tonight. Kevin McCarthy, a right-hander, begins to throw. Here's Casale. 2-0. Casale hit that ground ball that would have been a double play. Davidson, the runner at second, had the ball hit him in the foot. Now, did he do it intentionally? More than likely not. Would he admit it if he did? Well, we'll find out perhaps after the game. But what we do know is, Chris, you and I went to break, and we were sitting there saying that might have been the biggest play of the inning.
So far, yeah.
Because
I think it was.
You know, it allowed you to get Farmer eventually to the plate without it being a double play. Because the next batter, Colon, made an out. It allowed Farmer to come to the plate, and he launched a 2-run double into right center field to get the Reds on the board.
You know, someone posed a question to me, Tom, about whether the umpires could arbitrarily rule a double play if it was going to be a double play ball. The answer to that is no, unless it was obviously intentional by Davidson to get hit.
Yeah, when you're getting hit on the back foot, it's one thing if you get hit in the hip. or the backside where maybe you stick it out a little bit to get hit, but when you're starting to run and you get clipped on the foot, more than likely not. Inning over, but what an explosion as the Reds, with 2 outs, flex their muscles. It started with Davidson, a 2-run home run, and then DeWink with a solo shot. 5-1 Redlegs. To get all your baseball action, download the MLB app today, the official app of Major League Baseball. Jesse Winker on the back end of back-to-back home runs. Davidson, then Jesse, accounting for 3 Cincinnati runs in the bottom of the 3rd. First pitch swinging is Alex Gordon against Castillo. We open the 4th, and that's quickly 1 out. Castillo could use an easy inning. He had a perfect first inning, 11 pitches. And then next thing you know, 2nd and 3rd, nobody out in the 2nd. They wound up loading him up. He gets a final out with no damage. 3rd inning, 1 out walk, 2 errors behind him, RBI single. Gets the next 2 batters out, including a great play. And over to look it. Easy to overlook it by Castellanos.
I don't want to interrupt you there.
Well, I mean, you try to nibble on an almond or 2 in between innings, and next thing you know, you can't talk. But that was a big-time play by Castellanos in right field with the bases loaded.
Who knows where that inning would have gone had he not been able to come up with that play. I'll tell you, I just love the guy's attitude. I mean, the way he plays, it's got to be infectious. I mean, I'm sure he's like that in the dugout, in the locker room. You know, that kind of attitude makes everybody else want to do that same kind of play. You don't want to be left out when you've got one guy hustling the way that Castellanos does. Castillo's still missing down and away with that off-speed stuff. I think he's just trying to be just a little bit too fine.
That ball is smoked into left center field off the bat of Nicky Lopez, and that'll one-hop the wall. And he cruises in with a 1-out double. And there's another example of Kansas City jumping on a Castillo fastball.
Well, Lopez, when he had a chance to drive a couple of runs in there in the 2nd inning, he ended up hitting a line drive, a little soft line drive to second baseman, but he was getting almost all off-speed pitches. Here he gets a fastball. 4-run lead, 1 out, don't want to walk him, and he delivers.
All right, so now Whit Merrifield, for already the 3rd time in this game, he has struck out and lined out hard to center. And a breaking ball in there, strike 1. We are only in the top of the 4th inning in this one. So a long way to go. Reds with a 4-run lead. Shallow center. This will be a base hit, and then Senzel has it bounce away from him. And I mean, you talk about good base running there by Lopez. He read that all the way.
Well, he wanted to make sure that Senzel wasn't going to come up with a last-second diving catch. But Senzel tries to barehand this ball. There's really no need to, because the runner right here, Lopez, is holding up between 2nd and 3rd. Even if Senzel just uses his glove, transfers normally, right here is where he should be running. And he waited. I mean, there's no way Senzel gets to that ball. But because he bobbled it, he was able to come around to score, make it a 3-run game.
It's not been a good defensive night for the Redlegs here.
Just sloppy. I mean, there's no reason to try to barehand that ball out there, because
you know, let's face it, you hit a little blooper off the bat like that, it's coming with a lot of spin on the ball. And when that ball hits that turf, that's nice thick grass, it's going to grab that spin and it's going to ricochet one way or the other. A lot easier when you use your glove.
Soler, one hopper, Farmer for one. Cologne turns it over. So after some sloppy defense in the last 2 innings, the inning ends with a sparkling play turned in by the shortstop Farmer. That was his position as a Georgia Bulldog. He likes it over there. Ending double play.
Well, he plays it like an accomplished shortstop, and the Reds have always said we have no problem with Farmer. Well, how about that? That's a Gold Glove caliber play right there to end the inning on a double play ball. On a night where we've seen some sloppy play, we've seen 2 excellent defensive plays, one by Farmer, the other by Castellanos. We're getting a look at everything.
All right, so here we go. And Chris Bubic still in the game. Mike Matheny going to leave that young man out there to, see if he can't retire the bottom part of the order and then roll into the leadoff man Senzel, whom he's handled twice already in the game tonight.
Well, he's going to have a lot better games than this. Bubic will. Where he has made his mistakes have been with his changeup waist high out over the plate.
Slow
like right there.
Franco is a good defender with a very strong arm. That's a good play because Cologne can run. So 1 away in the inning, and Bubic, his next pitch, this will be number 80 in the game. One and 0 the count on Farmer, who had that 2-out, 2-run double to right center field, getting the Reds on the board in the 2nd inning. Had a good night for Kyle Farmer. Made that outstanding play in the field a moment ago and has driven in a couple of runs. Three balls and a strike to Kyle Farmer. Straight up in the air, and Merrifield first a step back, now a beat on it, 2 down. All right, how about a scoreboard stumper tonight? Here you go. 5 players have hit 20 or more home runs in a season while playing for the Reds, and then played for the Royals later in their career. So they started with the Reds, and at some point in time wound up putting on a Kansas City uniform. There's a good question. And we made a pact, early on that we're going to let you at home, as you should, have plenty of time to start gathering some names and your thoughts. I can only think of a couple, and that's about it. 2 I know for sure. Outside of that, no. So 5 players have hit 20 or more home runs in a season while playing for the Reds, and then before their careers would come to an end, they would play for the Kansas City Royals.
I've only got one. I'm not the guy to ask these trivia questions.
I'm normally not either. And you can't go way back because the Royals are not that old. So this isn't a big, extended period length of time we're talking about here. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And there's strike 3 called to Senzel. So Bubic, a 1, 2, 3, 4th. We're off to the 5th. Reds lead 5-2. Fox Sports Ohio brought to you by Kroger. It's easy to place your order online and pick it up at the store. Try it today at Kroger.com. And by Ford. Built Ford proud. Boy, I didn't know that was coming tonight. Did you, Chris Wells?
I had no idea.
That is really, really cool. A lot of guys from the MLB Network. You're there on the right. Me in the middle. Our old buddy Case there on the left. Brian Giesenslaw, Jim Day, Danny Graves, Jeff Pecoro, Brian Giesenslaw there to the left, Sam LeCure. It's great stuff. That's very much appreciative. Thank you.
Now, if our cutout is hit by a foul ball, do we get the foul ball?
Well, there'll be a lot of celebration. Let's start with that, because that's as close as some are going to get. Well, maybe mine. I'm not going to say yours. That's very, very nice. I got to find out who did that. It's quite a surprise. 5-2 ball game. Kansas City bats in the top of the 5th inning. The first of a 2-game stop for the Royals here in Cincinnati. And then the Reds will go to Kansas City next week. Same deal. Tuesday and Wednesday night games. The $1 million question is, will the Reds be playing next Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? Guess who's that scheduled against? The Cardinals. Ooh. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Hooked foul by Perez. Line drive. It'll fall in a base hit. There's another fastball again. Yeah, boy, they really are hitting the fastball hard here tonight.
Well, we said that early on, that they're the best team in baseball hitting the fastball. That's not bad location down around the knees. A 2-seam fastball by Castillo normally has got a lot of run. But he had such bad swings earlier in that same at bat on the changeup. I guess you got to mix him up a little bit, but boy, he just looks a lot comfortable when you're hitting that heater.
We were talking about Bubic and where his pitch count is. Castillo is 1 batter into the 5th inning, and he's knocking on the door of 80 pitches. He'll get the out in first base here. And into scoring position goes Perez. By the way, that base hit in the Kansas City 4th inning, where Lopez scored from second base, the scoring on that play was an unearned run against Castillo. It was a single, and then the runner scored on an error charged to Nick Senzel. So the Reds on defense have committed 3 errors in the last 2 Kansas City at bats. 1-0 the count on O'Hearn.
So for Castillo, that is no earned runs on the night then.
That would be correct. He has given up 6 base hits. He has struck out 4 and walked 2. Here's a 1-1 pitch. Started to pull the trigger on that change up, could not, and it paints the outside corner a strike.
I'll tell you, you get that pitch called for you for a strike, you've got to go right back and throw it about 3 inches farther away, because O'Hearn certainly does not want to get rung up.
Runner in scoring position is Perez. Very short lead out at second base.
Although I got to tell you that I really like Castillo's changeup better when he throws it over the plate, but in the dirt in front of home plate, if you know what I mean. I don't try to pick away at the corner because he's got so much side-to-side movement that a lot of times it comes out of his hand and never really looks like a strike. But if he can just throw it over the cylinder of the plate, they'll be hacking at it.
Tried to buzz a fastball in on O'Hearn, and it's dropped foul out of play. And now a quick message from La Roses.
Every game this year, 11 strikeouts means a $1,000 donation to the Reds Community Fund.
Nice to have La Roses with us this season. Buddy, Michael, and company dialed in Cincinnati, Ohio. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Ryan Hearn. And Castillo whiffed at it. Farmer gets it, makes a nice play behind him to throw out O'Hearn. Couple of real nice plays tonight at shortstop by Kyle Farmer. On to third is Perez.
Well, you hope that if you're Castillo, you don't deflect it so much that the fielder can't pick it up behind you. He's having a really good night, Farmer is. At the plate, defensively, he's made a couple of gems.
Now, there's one guy that Castillo's really worked over in this Kansas City lineup tonight. It's a man who steps in there now with a runner at third base and 2 outs.
Yeah, sliders down and in have been his downfall.
Mondesi hooks this one to the right side. Colon from his knee, and it gets away from Votto. I don't know if they would have had him if Votto caught that ball cleanly. I don't think that throw pulled Joey off the bag. At least it didn't look like it up here.
Now, the Mondesi is about the closest you're going to get to Billy Hamilton in a Royals uniform. I mean, he can fly down the line. He even slows up right there because I think he was afraid of running into Votto, and I think he still would have beaten it out.
I think you're right. After looking at that replay, that'll be an infield hit from Mondesi. Good effort by Colon, but a run scores to make it a 2-run game. And now Franco, be careful here. Throw gets away from Votto, and Mondesi is going to stay put. You really got to be careful here. I'm not saying you pitch around some guy. You got a runner at first base, certainly a base stealing threat, but this guy, he hit that laser into right field with the bases loaded his last time up that just missed getting out of here. On a great play by Castellanos, banging into the wall. Runner goes, throw down to second base, not going to be in time.
That was the first thing that was going to happen, is that unless you checked him a couple of times, Mondesi is going to steal second base. So now a base hit makes it a 1-run ball game.
Are they asking for a review of this?
Well, I'm wondering because Colon kept that tag on Mondesi that maybe at some point he became disconnected to the bag.
Gotcha.
I mean, because he had the plate beat entirely. On the bag. Oh, he did. His spikes lifted off the bag.
The only thing, Chris, I wonder is because you make the argument that his first swipe tag knocked Mondesi off the bag. Right there, when he's applying the tag, the first tag, you can't knock a guy off the base.
Correct.
And right there, you can make an argument that that almost lifted him in the air off the bag, right between the legs.
You know, this is one of those reviews, Tom, that really came along with the territory when it comes with review. This wasn't the intent initially
when they decided to include tag plays, whether they were safe or out. I mean, because Mondesi clearly has stolen this base.
Sure.
And just because he pops up and his spike, you know, is 1/64th off the base, you know, he can be tagged out. So that's why infielders learn to keep the tag on him, and runners have to learn how to stay in contact with the base.
Well, obviously they're taking a long look at it from multiple angles back in New York. And they're saying out is a call. Wow. How about that? I think Mike Matheny is wondering about that call. Good play by Colon to keep that tag on. And that's the way the inning comes to an end. All right, here you go. Our scoreboard stumper about the 5 players who have hit 20 or more home runs in a season playing for the Reds, and then later in their careers they played for Kansas City. Who are they? Vada Pinson, one of the great names of all time. Same old's true for Lee May. Our old buddy Reggie Standers, still working for the Royals now. Saw him in Arizona. How about Jose Guillen? And then Johnny Gomes, one of our favorite Reds. He was a fun dude.
Oh, yeah.
And Colon was the guy who you may remember gave the credit for his postseason hits gave it to Johnny Gomes. Johnny was not even on the active roster that year in Kansas City, and still made such a positive influence on a young player like Colon. Royals bring in a new pitcher. No, they don't. We were told they were bringing in Greg Holland. That's still Bubic out there on the mound.
Yeah.
Holland apparently stayed in the bullpen. He was announced coming into the game, and he's not out there. And you got to wonder how much longer Castillo's going to stay in there.
That's the best fastball he's thrown all night.
Well, since giving up the back-to-back home runs, he's retired 5 in a row, 3 of them on strikeouts. Here's Votto, 1 for 2, had a single to right, and then with a runner at third and nobody out in the third inning, he tapped out to the third baseman. Tell you what, Mike Matheny showing you a little something here, staying with this Bubic. He had given up 2 runs in the second, gave up 3 runs in the third, all coming with 2 outs, a 2-run home run by Davidson, followed by a home run by Winker. And yet this young man who pitched it at A and high A in Lexington, Kentucky, and Wilmington, North Carolina, had never pitched Double-A, never pitched Triple-A. He's only made 2 starts in the big leagues. And here he is, still going in the 5th. 95 pitches. And he just blew away Votto. And that might have been his best fastball of the night, 95 miles per hour.
Well, he struck Castellanos out on one at 94, and he just humps up a little bit more for Votto here. Pretty impressive.
It is impressive.
You know, it's funny because I was reading some of the amateur scouting reports about Chris Bubic, and you know, a lot of times they will glorify those guys that are throwing in the high 90s and near 100 miles an hour, or a devastating breaking ball, and they projected him to be a lower level starting pitcher because he doesn't have overpowering stuff. But tonight he's shown
pretty good idea. He's got 3 different pitches that have been all successful for him. And here he is, 100 pitches into the ball game, throwing his hardest pitches of the night.
I'd really love to go back and find out how many of those quote-unquote projections. And look, the easiest thing to do is say a guy is going to be one of those 4 or 5 starters, because it's really hard to get to the big leagues to begin with and then stick in the big leagues in a starting rotation. But, I mean, this guy's so young.
It's a good changeup.
Sure is, and that's a nice play. And back-to-back perfect innings for Bubic. Heck, who knows? He may not be out of the game yet. Kids Club membership, $30. You get a Reds Heads backpack, jersey, exclusive Suarez bobblehead, trading bins, a lot more. Check it all out, Reds.com/fan clubs. The mighty Ohio looking into the rolling hills of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Peaceful along the river and peaceful in Cincinnati. Thank goodness for that. In there, strike 1 to Maikel Franco. Castillo out there on the mound, his 88th pitch of the night. He's had shoddy defense behind him. Yes, a couple of really good plays, very important plays. One by Castellanos, another by Farmer. But 2 of the 3 runs are unearned runs tonight against Castillo. Big swing and a miss, and that puts away on Franco. First strikeout since the 3rd inning, and it's 5 in the game.
Well, there's the changeup. A lot of run on that pitch and just goes right downstairs, and Franco just swings right over the top of it.
Action in both bullpens right now. And that is a foul ball, not by much, off the bat of Alex Gordon. Ooh, I mean, that was tickling that first base line. Ooh. Where it crosses the bag, of course. My, that was close. Reds have allowed now the 2nd most unearned runs of any team in the league. Only the San Francisco Giants have given up more unearned runs than the Cincinnati Reds through the first, 16 games, and now a 17th game of this 2020 season. Two balls and a strike on Gordon. 1 out, nobody on. Reds lead by 2. This one is playable. 2 down. And now a quick word from Mike's Car Wash.
When the Reds win Tuesday, you save $5 off the Ultimate Wash Wednesday.
Mike's Car Wash.
Nicky Lopez, big swing and a miss on a first pitch fastball. 96 miles per hour from Castillo. Soft one hopper to Colon. That's an impressive inning right there by Luis. It might buy him another inning in this game. Let's hope so. Five-3 ball game. Reds coming to bat, bottom of the 6th inning. Well, David Bell giving the high five and the elbow down there to Castillo. And Chris, normally when you see that, you think a starter's coming out of the game, although they're conversing at length there.
I'm not sure what the content of that conversation is. I can't read David Bell's lips, that's for sure. But I think they're happy with the way, if he is finished, Castillo finished very strong at the very end. That is Tyler Zuber, right-hander, 25 years old, first year in the major leagues. And for the 8th time this year.
Picked up his first major league win on Saturday in that sweep over the weekend against the Minnesota Twins. Opponents are batting .115 against this guy. Problem for him has been, of the 3 hits total that he's allowed, 2 of the 3 have been home runs.
And the other problem is he's walked 9 batters in 8 innings.
That would be a problem. You're right on the money there. Josh Van Meter, good to see him back. Brought back down the road from Prasco. Young man who's been off to a rough start this year, still looking for his first base hit. Van Meter replaces on the active roster Pedro Strop, who, although unable to pitch through the weekend, stayed on the active roster up in Milwaukee. You may remember Strop was actually injured here in Cincinnati in a game against the Indians. So he remained on the active roster through the entire 5-game road trip before being placed on the injured list today. And Van Meter up. Zuber misses in. 3 balls and a strike. And you're wondering, maybe some are wondering, why do you hit for Davidson? He's drawn a walk and hit a 2-run home run. Zuber has just dominated right-handed batters during his short stint in the big leagues. Only 1 hit in 13 batters. And, you know, Davidson swings a particularly good bat when facing the lefties and did an excellent job tonight in the DH role. Good for him. Say, he has given the Reds a lift in a couple of games already this year.
Yeah, he has. And Davidson has looked so much better in those games in which he's gotten a start rather than coming off the bench as being a pinch hitter.
Jesse Winker's home run to the opposite field. StatCast powered by Google Cloud. Chris, give me the numbers. Give me the numbers.
Hoppage.
Give me the numbers.
I got to see him first time.
Okay, you're right.
Here they come. Exit velo 106.6. The average major league home run is 103.6. And it went a little bit over 400 feet.
Eight batters in a row retired by Kansas City pitching since the back-to-back home runs from Davidson and Winker. Bubic set down the final, 7 that he faced. So he goes 5 innings tonight, allows 7 hits. Strikes out 6, walks a batter. He looks like he's got a chance to be a pretty good pitcher. We'll see. Been an excellent night for Winker. A single and the solo home run to left center.
I can see where that little slider that he throws right there would be very tough on right-handers. Got a short arms slot he does. Ball kind of gets on you pretty good, but he's still trying to find his command.
I mean, Zuber's somewhat of a newbie as well. I mean, he was drafted in 2017, and here he is at age 25 in the major leagues. Royals got him in the 6th round out of Arkansas State.
Two is off the inside corner, so Winker comes all the way back from behind in the count 0-2 to draw the walk. You know, while we have a moment, I'd like to send out a huge 47th happy anniversary today to Marcia and David Moyer. Well, what a beautiful couple. 47 years. Their sons, Joel and Eric, grandkids, Elias, Hannah, and Jane. Cannot possibly repay them for all the love and care they showered upon us their entire lives. So, Coach David, Marcia, happy 47th anniversary. Two wonderful folks right here in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Now, Tom, we had no game yesterday, but it was a big, big day for a very special Reds fan out there. And it would be Dorothy Landberg, who turned 100 years young yesterday.
Yes.
Born in Cincinnati, Ohio, been a Reds fan her whole life.
Dorothy, happy birthday, belatedly so.
Now, they were going to have a big party right there at the riverboat deck.
Were they really?
Yeah. Of course, that had to be canceled, but we hope you're doing well. 4 grandchildren and 6 great-grandchildren.
Jankowski in to run for Winker, and he's going on the play. That is a foul ball. Well, I'm a little surprised Perez did not pick that ball up and take the out at first base.
Yeah, it would have definitely been an out, too. He had plenty of time to pick the ball up and throw. You know, sometimes it's just instinctive.
I mean, that's an easy out.
Maybe it was in foul territory. He could have picked it up right away and picked up an out. No doubt. Hard to second guess Perez, though. You know, he's such a good player, an all-star, Gold Glover, Silver Slugger.
Well, Dorothy's birthday today, the original schedule tonight was supposed to be a game opening a homestand against the Chicago Cubs. So they'd have been out there, you said, in center field tonight under the normal schedule that they bought tickets for, clearly. 2-1 on Casale, 1 out, 1 on. Jankowski not running. In the air, and that ball will, I was going to say, that started to come back. You'll frequently see that. And neither Perez nor the first baseman O'Hearn took that for granted. If you've never been underneath a pop foul ball, those ones frequently that look like they're about 5 or 7 rows behind the dugouts or behind the plate, frequently those things inevitably will start to come back towards the field of play, and you just never know. Two on Casale. Well, maybe Perez knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
Why take one when you can get 2? All right, we're going to the 7th. Are the Reds going to their bullpen for the final 9 outs of this one? We're about to find out. America's largest 5G network. How about some news and notes? Playing the first home game of the season, first major league game in Buffalo, New York. That's where they'll play their home games the remainder of this year. Since 1915. Boy, that's some kind of story. Alex Cintrone, a whopping 20 games, the hitting coach of the Houston Astros. Apparently he was the one that provoked that entire brawl. And Charlie Blackmon is Charlie Blackmon. That guy can rake. And what a start for the Colorado Rockies, sitting atop the National League West with an 11-5 record.
Well, for Nate Jones, this is game number 7. He last pitched a couple of days ago. That was at Milwaukee. Had an inning of shutout baseball.
Jankowski remains in the game to play left field. Look, you know the story. Not telling you anything you don't already know. The Cincinnati bullpen has really struggled. The starting pitcher's ERA comes down tonight. Only 1 earned run against Castillo in 6 innings. So the starter's ERA is under 2.4 on the year. The bullpen numbers are almost 8. And beating out a ground ball is Merrifield on a slow roller back up through the box.
Now you're going to see Farmer cut in front of the second baseman Colon. That was a good play. I don't think Colon gets him any easier than does Farmer, even though he's sitting there. Although the double pump right there by Farmer trying to get a grip on the baseball may have cost him the out. So he reached in there for it, couldn't quite get it clean.
Foul ball. First pitch swinging Jorge Soler. Reds lead 5-3.
Soler was ready with that fastball.
Yes, he was. It's going to be very interesting to see what David Bell has in mind now for this bullpen the rest of this game. You have a 2-run lead, 7th inning, which begins with Jones. When this season began, there was no debate whatsoever of the 4 guys you were going to be leaning on the most in that bullpen when you had a 2-run lead starting in the 7th inning. You knew Iglesias was backing things up at the end, and mixing and matching after you acquired Stroke, but primarily Lorenzen and Garrett. Well, Garrett is still very much a piece of that mix. Iglesias is still the closer. Lorenzen struggling. Stroke injured. You know, do we see a Tyler Mahle? Do we see a TJ Antone tonight?
I don't think you see him tonight, Tom. I really don't. I think you see Jones this inning if all goes well, and then you turn it over from there. I think you're trying to develop roles as well. It's a couple times I've touched on that it's almost like you have so many different moving pieces down there that you feel an obligation to keep guys active by giving them an inning here and an inning there, but you don't dole out I guess the jobs like it normally is in a 7-man bullpen when you have 11 of them down there. Soler will swing and miss with the best of them. And what I meant by the normal guys would be Jones in this inning, Garrett in the 8th, and then Raisel Iglesias in the 9th, unless there's a lot of different scoring going on.
Garrett is already getting warmed up in the bullpen. And a base hit into right field. Back-to-back hits greet Jones from the bullpen here in the 7th.
I'm sorry, I just don't understand that pitch selection right there. Here's a guy that hit, 49 home runs last year, and he struck out 178 times. And he'll chase that slider if you give him a chance. He threw a previous pitch slider, but it really wasn't a good one. And Jones, that's his really good go-to pitch against right-handed hitters.
Remember, Chris pointed out at the very top of the telecast all the right-handed batters in this Kansas City lineup. Now, we know Garrett can get righties and lefties out. But for the time being, David Bell stays with Nate Jones. Infield hit. And then a sharp single into right by Soler. So the tying run aboard, the go-ahead run at the plate with nobody out in the 7th. One ball and one strike on Salvador Perez. Tonight, the 10th start by a Reds pitcher this season. 6 or more innings. 1 or fewer earned runs allowed. No other team has more than 7 such starts. The Reds have 10. You will see a lot of guys step out of the box when Nate Jones is on the mound. He is as deliberative as any pitcher in Major League Baseball. 1-1. Bottom fell out of that pitch. Perez, one of those Kansas City batters that has seen this guy plenty of times when he was logging all those miles for the White Sox inside the AL Central. Perez has 12 at-bats, 2 hits. Against Jones. The other 2 guys that have seen him plenty of times, Merrifield already with an infield hit. Merrifield is now 5 for 9 against Jones. Soler now 2 of 3. Alex Gordon and Perez clearly have seen him the most. They've been around the longest. Struck him out on a high fastball. First out in the inning.
Well done right there. Well placed, especially. Casale wants it up, and Jones put it right there above the comfort zone for Salvador Perez.
Now Hunter Dozier. A single to left, reached on an error by Votto, and then a tapper to the mound. Two on, 1 out. Reds lead by 2 in the 7th. Swing and a miss. And that pitch gets away, bounces up there, and that's something we've seen frequently, Chris, from that Jones breaking ball, regularly bouncing him up there and certainly challenging the guys behind the plate.
You know, sometimes when you throw a really good one, the next time you throw one, you're trying to throw it even better. And I think that's what happened with Nate Jones that time. The first pitch he threw to Hunter Dozier was perfect spot. And you feel like you've got to put just a little more spin on it to be successful with it. And that's when you bounce them.
1 ball, 1 strike. Tying run now in scoring position. Oh, he had a pitch to hit right there. A little bit up in his zone. Had some good juice on it at 96, but fouled away. Huge batter in this game. Hunter Dozier. I know it's only the 7th inning and we've got a ways to go, but the Reds bats have gone stone cold since the back-to-back home runs in the 3rd inning. And the Royals try to peck away. Another pitch in the dirt. Two balls, 2 strikes to Dozier. Fastball this time he didn't chase. He went after that pitch a minute ago. You have a left-handed batter on deck. The Royals only have 4 players, position players, on their bench. That's it. They have 11 relievers. Did he go? They appeal. He did not, and there's a walk, and they're loaded. Does David Bell stay with Jones against a left-handed batting O'Hearn, or does he bring in Amir Garrett? It looks as though, well, David's still sitting. Garrett certainly ready by now. And it looks like it's going to be Jones against a left-handed batting O'Hearn. Bases loaded, 1 out. Reds lead 5-3. We are in the 7th inning. Swing and a miss on a first pitch fastball.
It's a powerful fastball there from Jones. Good spot. As I mentioned earlier, O'Hearn starts straight with his feet and then he closes up his stance looking for a pitch on the outer part of the plate. That front foot will tell you. That's why they're trying to crowd him with the fastball. Three defenders on the right side looking for a ground ball.
One on Ryan O'Hearn. Up and away. Off-speed pitch. He got away from him. Deadly in these situations so far this year. 2 balls and a strike to Ryan O'Hearn in the dirt, ball 3. I mean, that runner at third is over half the way down, and now Jones going to pay a little attention to him. The third baseman is playing the shortstop position.
Well, I would suggest Jones pay no attention to him at all. He's got a 3-1 count and the bases loaded.
3 balls and a strike to Ryan O'Hearn. And a liner up the middle. Oh, my! Farmer! He gets 1! Farmer gets 2! He's been the player of the night. He has been the Reds' player of the night. By far and away, not even close. The 2 biggest defensive plays, arguably, in this game, both of them by a guy who was logging miles behind the plate last year. Thanks in large part, Chris, to that man right there, Kyle Farmer, from the shortstop position.
Filling in everywhere Kyle Farmer has done last year, but you said it well, Tom, about last year he was catching more than he was playing shortstop. And he has been in the right place at the right time. That last one he made, that backhanded stab of a sinking line drive to end the inning. 3 times tonight the Royals have ended the inning with the bases loaded. And Ian Kennedy, former starter, now out of the pen, comes in the ball game. Been around a long time.
Sure has. Swing and a foul ball back out of play by Christian Colon. So Jones survives. That was a rocket off the bat of O'Hearn. And the Reds have the big shift on. And come away with a double play. 1-1 pitch. Colon tries to put one down. So it stands to reason, even though you have a switch hitter, a righty, and then a lefty coming up in the 8th inning, that we would see Amir Garrett. And then try to get the ball, of course, to Raisel Iglesias. Well, the Cubs apparently don't think much of the Cleveland Indians pitching. I brought that up earlier. The Cubs are beating the Indians 6-0 at the end of 5. Well, the Cubs are rolling. 10-3. Tell you, their run differential though is only a +7. Their bullpen has gone through virtually the exact same thing the Reds bullpen has gone through. The difference between the two teams is the Cubs score a lot of runs. It's popped up into short left field. All right, Farmer's night tonight. Let's start with 2 outs and 2 on in the 2nd inning of a scoreless game. 2-run double to right center. But in the field, this play right here to start a double play to end an inning. Play off of Castillo's glove, backhand, and a bullet, and then this one on that laser down on one knee, fields it backhanded, takes it himself to the bag and gets a double play. Big night for Kyle Farmer. Perhaps a game-saving night for Kyle Farmer.
I would say at least that, yeah. I mean, you go back to some of the great plays that have been made. I mean, Farmer's, a couple of those plays that we just saw on the catch by Nick Castellanos, this would be a completely different ball game.
Well, I'm being told many of you are having a hard time finding our game tonight. We knew about the hockey game going on, but they've gone into multiple overtimes in that game. So, we got a lot of folks that are working very hard to try and get everything straightened out here, and so they're working on it, I promise. Ian Kennedy retires the first 2 batters here in the 7th inning. And as we said, this is a strength of the Kansas City team, is their bullpen.
Well, the guy that is pitching right now was their closer last year. He didn't start out the season that way. In fact, it was given at first to Brad Boxberger. Remember him, former Red. And Willie Peralta. And they both failed at the closer's job. So it was Ian Kennedy that stepped in. Ended up with 30 saves, blew only 4. This year he's been relegated really to about the 7th inning. Although he's here in the 8th or the 7th tonight.
One and 0 the count. Senzel, a quiet night, has struck out, line to center, struck out again in the 4th. First game back after missing the last couple of games with that tweaked groin. Nick's had a hard time getting on the field regularly for any sustained length of time. He woke up, you may remember, that first weekend, wasn't feeling well, missed some games, came back, head first slide into second base, jams the ring finger on his non-throwing left hand, misses a couple of games, and now the groin injury. There's a rocket into left field on a 3-0 pitch for a base hit. So Senzel, a 2-out base runner, and that ends a string without a hit for the Reds, going back to the Winker home run, the back end of back-to-back home runs in the third inning. Now Castellanos against Ian Kennedy. Check swing, and that's strike one. There have been times during Ian Kennedy's career where he's had seasons where he's been one of the better pitchers in the league.
Well, he's been around 10 years. Former first-round pick of the New York Yankees, got him out of Southern Cal.
USC. How about that season in 2011 with Arizona?
I mean, he was always a huge prospect. I mean, when he was drafted #1 out of USC, that was in 2006. He was in the major leagues the next year in September. Made his debut at age 22.
One on, 2 out. Strike called on the outside corner.
Good looking pitch.
5 runs, 8 hits, 3 errors by the Reds. Couple of men left on base. Kansas City 3 runs. They've out hit the Reds, 9 of those, but left 8 runners on base. Had the bases loaded in the second, in the third, and in the just completed top of the 7th inning. Runner goes, throw by Perez, and is safe at second base for Senzel. His second steal in 3 attempts. Boy, that Perez has got a cannon.
He does have a cannon, but I'm liking this feet first slide by Senzel.
I mean, Senzel has such an incredible jump, and where we sit up here, just in your, peripheral vision, you can see a runner and how close they're closing in on second base before the catcher even releases a ball. Man, did that get down there in a hurry, but not quickly enough for the speedy Senzel. All right, it's a big run out there. And the inning comes to an end. 1 hit, 1 left. We're off to the 8th. 5-3, Reds in front. Tell you, we miss being around those guys tonight after being the last 5 games out of the studio, being able to hang out with Sam and Charlie and the gang, and of course JD's a regular with us here at the ballpark. Miss those guys tonight.
Nice and loose over there.
Yeah. Oh, and 1 on Mondesi. And Amir Garrett takes over on the mound for Cincinnati.
Or does he ever? Slider fastball on Mondesi, who is a switch hitter turning around for the first time tonight.
Swing and a foul ball back out of play. Mondesi bats from the right side for the first time tonight. And got him swinging. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night to Mr. Mondesi.
I mean, this is basically a disappearing pitch. That's a great angle to see it from right there, because it just looks like a fastball coming out of his hand. Big tall guy pitching from kind of a high arm slot there.
Swing and a miss on that slider to Franco.
He'll chase those all night.
There's another one, as you said. One more to go for Amir Garrett, protecting a 2-run lead here in the 8th inning. Tried another slider, that one in the dirt. Franco 0 for 3 is flied out to left. That was a big out in this game, with 1 out in the 2nd inning and runners at 2nd and 3rd. Runner did not tag and score. Castillo got him a bases loaded jam. Then the next inning, he batted with the bases loaded, 2 outs, hit a laser to right, crashing into the wall, catching it Castellanos. And now he hits one off the end of the bat, foul up the left field line. One ball, 2 strikes on Franco. Came with a fastball that time at 95 miles per hour, and it swung on and fouled out of play. Garrett is retired. 18 of the 21 batters he has faced this season. So he's been part of the solution, not part of the problem down there. He did allow early on that home run to Baez. There's a base hit into center field. He allowed that home run to Javier Baez, you may remember. That was a big one. And up until that one right there, that was the only hit he had allowed all season long.
Well, he got that down maybe just a little bit too low, and Franco's able to put a pretty good swing on it. I mean, I don't think that Garrett has even been hit hard. I mean, if they make contact at all, it's usually a weak ground ball or a pop-up.
Derek Johnson going to come out as Ryan McBroom is the announced pinch hitter for the left-handed batting Alex Gordon. Well, these next couple of batters, I mean, obviously in a 2-run game, extremely important. But even more so as you get past, and you know, McBroom, we'll see. Then you got the number 9 hitter Lopez, but then you roll to the top of the order. And if you start getting into Merrifield, who, you know, look, he may not be thought of as a power guy, but he can hit. And he does have 4 home runs this year. Soler. So these are big batters. Tying run at the plate. Franco with about a 1-step lead over there at first base. The entire right side of the infield is open for the right-handed batting McBroom. He looks at a fastball right down the middle of straight. High fly ball into deep left field, and this game is tied. And the Cincinnati bullpen has let this team down once again.
Oh, McBroom got a slider. I don't know whether Garrett got it up or he just swung on plane, but this was a no-doubter right here. It wasn't all that bad of a pitch. I mean, sometimes you make a good pitch and a hitter unjams you. And I think that would be the case right there.
So even though, we just said Garrett's only allowed 3 hits all year long, you can remember all 3 of them.
Yeah.
The Baez home run, single here to Franco with a 2-run lead, and now a 2-run home run by McBroom to tie it up. 5-5 game. We're in the top of the 8th inning. Reds have played 17 games. The bullpen has given up at least 1 run in 14 of the 17 games. There's a laser into right, and that will be caught at the warning track by Castellanos. That ball was killed.
He had a pretty good jump on that ball. Castellanos did. He looking more and more natural out there in right field all the time.
That's all for Amir Garrett. We'll take a break. He gives up a 2-run home run to lose a 5-3 lead. Tied at 5. Skyline Chili. Call to the bullpen. We're back in a moment. Gives up the 2-run home run to tie the game at 5. And with 2 outs and nobody on, Raisel Iglesias will face Whit Merrifield.
This may have been, Tom, the first time we've seen this year where the new rule of 3-batter minimum would have something to do with the strategy of bringing pitchers in out of the bullpen.
Yep.
So if David Bell did not want the matchup of Amir Garrett against a pinch hitter Ryan McBroom, he couldn't have done anything about it.
That's right.
Because he was a 3rd hitter and had to face McBroom, who swept one out of here.
And look, we're all trying to get used to that rule because I think a lot of people at home and some very savvy Reds fans, they manage right along or try to, like we do sometimes. First guessing, never second guessing. Once a pinch hitter was announced, would you think about bringing Iglesias into the game if you already have him warmed up and ready to go here in the 8th inning? But you can't. And so we're all trying to get used to that new rule. Swing and a foul ball out of play by Merrifield. Weak pop up to short right field. Castellanos the call and the catch, and the inning is over. We're off to the bottom of the 8th inning after a game tying 2-run pinch hit home run from McBroom. the game summary. It's been a wild one here tonight. Kyle Farmer's had a big night. A 2-run double to get the Reds on the board with 2 outs in the second inning. And Davidson, a 2-out, 2-run home run the following inning to right center field. Very next batter, Jesse Winker, plays long ball to left center. And the Reds at the end of 3 had a 5-1 lead. But the Royals have since started to peck away. Got within 2. Amir Garrett on the mound. McBroom, the pinch hitter, in the top of this 8th inning. A 2-run home run to tie it. And now you're up to speed as the Reds come to bat here in the bottom of the 8th inning of a 5-5 game. And now taking over on the mound, right-hander Scott Barlow. Joey Votto, the batter. Ian Kennedy works an inning, 1 hit, 1 strikeout. Votto 1 for 3, single to right, Tapper to third with a runner at third and nobody out in the 3rd inning, and then he struck out swinging against Bubic in the 5th. Swing and a miss. That's a nasty breaking ball right there.
Yeah, that's his specialty. Barlow throws a lot of those, although between 2018 and 19 he was able to add almost 4 miles an hour to his fastball. Still not overpowering, but a good setup man, and he had 14 holds last year.
Brett Phillips is now in the game in center field, and Merrifield moves into left after they pinch hit for Gordon with McBroom, who hit the game tying home run. 2-1 on Votto. Breaking ball low and in, 3-1. Pitch. Votto draws a walk to begin the inning. You're thinking about a pinch runner for Votto, and that's certainly a question mark here in the bottom of the 8th inning. You have Shogo Akiyama down there. You have Michael Lorenzen down there, who could run. Freddie Galvis is certainly a faster runner than Joey at this point, and that's a potential game-winning run. Obviously, you can't win it in the bottom of the 8th, but you know what I'm getting at. Votto with about a 1.5-step lead over there, and a breaking ball is in there to Suarez, a strike.
Well, some managers will sometimes wait until that runner gets into scoring position to make a move for a different runner. You put a pinch runner in, next pitch, the guy rolls over a double play, and you've wasted a player.
Suarez trying to
talk CD into it.
Yep.
He needs to talk to Winker.
That's exactly right. He'll give you lessons on that. Fastball at 95 miles per hour there by Barlow. Got his 2nd career save, 1st of the season. This guy's pitched in more games than anybody in the big league so far this year. 10 outings tonight, number 11. First Royal to appear in 11 of the first 18 since Kelvin Herrera. Well, that's pretty nasty right there. You go 95 and then come back with that kind of breaking ball to a right-handed hitter.
Yeah, on the corner too.
And again, we brought it up earlier, but some of you, maybe just joining us, and we've had some issues tonight with a lot going on Fox Sports Ohio and different cable systems and all that kind of thing with the multiple overtime Blue Jackets games. So we thank you for hanging with us. We brought up earlier, this is the strength of this Kansas City Royals team, or one of, along with a lot of extra base hits. Their bullpen earned run average is right at 3. They have the 5th lowest bullpen earned run average in all of Major League Baseball. See the bullpen in the last 7. 32 strikeouts against just 5 walks, spanning better than 25 innings. 0-1 to Van Meter, of course, who took over for Davidson when he hit against Tyler Zuber back in the 6th inning. High in the air to right center field. This one will stay in the yard. That's a second out in the inning. And if you're thinking about home runs surrendered by Barlow, don't hold your breath. Second longest active streak in the major leagues.
I'll tell you, with the way the ball's been flying the last couple of years, that is an outstanding stat. I mean, keeping that ball down, staying on top of his breaking ball.
And it's not like he's a guy who comes in every blue moon. He comes in every night. Last home run he gave up was June the 29th of last year in Toronto. So now with all these changes the Reds, of course, made throughout the course of this game. Davidson out from a DH, Van Meter in. Jankowski came in to run, you may remember, for Jesse Winker when the Reds at the time had a 5-3 lead in the 6th inning. So Winker's out of the game, and he's your hottest bat. Votto was creeping along, trying to sneak attack there. And Barlow paid him no mind.
Yeah, Barlow paid him no mind, but still Barlow, even when he's not aware of where the runner is pretty quick through the plate.
Shot foul up the third base line. Three balls, 2 strikes on Jankowski. You have Casale due up next. And a pitch on the way with Votto running is foul tipped into the middle of the catcher, strike 3, and that'll end the inning. Reds have 1 hit since the 3rd inning. 5-5 game. We're off to the 9th. Cincinnati Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs, and by your local Toyota dealer. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Split the pot tickets available online with a new jackpot for every Reds series. Must be 18 and older and in the Buckeye State to purchase. All right, here we go. First pitch swinging. Huge hack by Jorge Soler. He was swinging to break a 5-5 tie with that mighty hack. Reds had a 5-1 lead in this game tonight. Royals with single runs. 2 of the 3 against starter Castillo were unearned. Errors in the field tonight. 3 of them total by the Reds. It was 5-3 Cincinnati until the Kansas City 8th after dodging a bullet in the 7th. As the Royals had the bases loaded, you may remember, in that 7th inning against Nate Jones, and it took a spectacular defensive play by Kyle Farmer to start a double play which ended the inning. But in the 8th, slow roller by the mound, coming and charging and making the play again is Farmer. He's been making plays defensively all night tonight.
Yeah, he makes the routine ones and he makes the marvelous ones. At this point in the ball game, they're all marvelous. Tie game, top of 9.
You're right.
That's one of those you better stay down on.
Well, you're going right through the heart of the order here in the Kansas City 9th inning. Big hitters in Soler, Perez, and fresh off the DL, Hunter Dozier. Strike 1 to Salvador Perez. Kansas City rolling into Cincinnati, riding the tide of a 4-game win streak. They beat the Cubbies on Thursday, swept the Minnesota Twins over the weekend. Reds coming off a weekend where they beat Milwaukee 2 out of 3. 0-2 on Perez. Nothing and 2. Does not chase the fastball upstairs. Don't forget for 1 second that guy standing in the on-deck circle does not remember the last time that the Royals were here in Cincinnati. We'll hold that thought. 1-2 again. Blew him away with high heat at 97 miles per hour. Iglesias has retired all 3 batters he's faced. 2 down here in the 9th. Well, the last time these 2 squared off, September of 18. And into the seats. A home run off the bat of Dozier to give the Royals a 4-3 victory here at Great American Ballpark. First pitch slider. No chance there. N-U-N, none. Another slider that sweeps away.
Yeah, if you saw that video and paid close attention, it looked like a fastball that Dozier got Iglesias with back in 18. That was a game started by the Red starter was Matt Harvey.
Trevor Rosenthal up throwing in the Kansas City bullpen. 1-2 the count on Dozier. Blew him away in the high heat like he did Perez. Outstanding work by Rysel. Reds bottom of the ninth. Casale, Colon, and Farmer. Dinsmore now open daily, Saturdays and Sundays in August. You get a free Ed Roush bobblehead with the purchase of a full price ticket. Visit redsmuseum.org. 5-5 game. And we get a look at a young man who looked like he was going to be one of the great closers in baseball. When he first came to the big leagues with the St. Louis Cardinals, he has dealt with injuries for the better part of 2.5, 3 years almost, and now back and so far really good for Trevor Rosenthal.
There were back-to-back years where Rosenthal had 45 saves and then 48 saves. 2014 and 15 for the Cardinals.
Kurt Casale to lead things off here in the Cincinnati ninth inning. High in the air to straightaway center field.
Well, Tom, if the Reds don't score here to win this ball game, this will be the first time this year they've gone into extra innings, and we'll see finally that new rule that will take effect, where a runner will be placed on second base. Whoever makes the last out of the inning in the ninth, and that would be Hunter Dozier, would be placed at second base to start the 10th.
Swinging a foul ball back out of play. High pop up off the bat of Colon. This will be caught. You know, there was a game, if we get into extra innings, there was a game recently played last week, you may remember. A 4-hour and 44-minute marathon as it's ball one to Farmer. Extra innings where neither the Astros nor the Dodgers bunted one time. Now you can say, well, you know, in this day and age, the bunt, do you know what? There's a base hit in the left field by Farmer. So the hopes stay alive here in the Cincinnati bottom half of the ninth inning.
Well, have a night, Kyle Farmer.
No kidding.
Solid base hit, had a solid double the first time up. That was in the right center field gap. This one down the line and will be held to a single.
All right, so here's Senzel. He has struck out twice and hit the ball very hard twice. Had a line out to center in the second inning. Single to left, stole a base in the seventh. And a first pitch from Rosenthal. Man, that's 97 miles per hour.
Yeah, dotting that outside corner.
Pitch in the dirt. Farmer cleaning off those spikes from the Great American Ballpark pitcher's mound. Winning run is Kyle Farmer with only about a step-and-a-half lead over there at first base. And looped into right. This will be the final out. So for the first time this year, the Reds will play an extra inning game. That means the Royals get a runner at second base. That will be Hunter Dozier. When we come back to begin the
2 years ago, I was in the minor leagues with the Giants, and I was sitting there in the stands watching minor league games. I was rooting for extra innings because it was so exciting, and you get to see all this strategy happen in one inning. You know you're not going to be there all night. You have a pretty good idea when it's going to end. I think the fans are going to love it.
Alrighty, well, first things first before we get to the whole situation about extra innings and the new rule being used by Major League Baseball. And as David reflected there, they start in the minor leagues. But first things first, Chris, Lucas Sims is on the mound.
Well, he comes in, and it's kind of a do-or-die situation. Lucas Sims is not a bad guy to call in right here. I mean, if you've already used up your closer and your bridges to your closer, then you start going in reverse order of who you think can be a good strikeout pitcher, where you got a guy at second base. And Sims, mid-90s fastball, good breaking pitch would be the guy. Dozier made the last out. He is the runner at second.
All right, so here we go. It is Dozier, the runner at second base, and Ryan O'Hearn, no sign of a bunt. He's batting in the middle of their batting order.
Well, you got a left-hander up there right now, which is an advantage that the Royals have already, because O'Hearn, you think, would be able to at least pull the ball on the ground to the right side of the infield.
Started two, and it's in there, a strike.
He had two to try and couldn't pull the trigger.
And that's good morning, good afternoon, and good night for the first out here in the inning.
That is one tight breaking ball there for Lucas Sims.
You know, you look back through some of the numbers and the whole debate about whether you want to bunt or not bunt. Teams that have a man on second with no outs generally score 1.15 runs in that inning. Now, you know, some managers may opt to move the potential go-ahead run to third with a sacrifice, where the bunt would actually reduce statistically your chances of success. Here's a 1-0. Check swing and a miss. Team scores 0.95 runs per inning when there's a man on third with one out. So, you know, if you want to base it strictly on mathematics, well, you can do that if you choose. Some managers feel like, I'll take my chances with a runner at third base and one out if we have someone that can bunt him over. Now, with the heart of the order, they weren't going to do it. 1 ball and 2 strikes, and as you mentioned as well, 2 left-handed batters. I would bet money if Mondesi were batting here, he would be bunting.
And I would bet money that he doesn't get a fastball right here with the way he's looked at sliders all night long.
One ball and 2 strikes. No, he does not. Gets that breaking ball, and back-to-back strikeouts for Sims to begin this top half of the 10th inning. Now, if you're wondering about the Reds, here's that breaking ball that really never broke. That was Just hung right up there. Nick Senzel would be the Reds runner at second base. And you would have Castellanos, Votto, and Suarez coming up.
I think a lot of the strategy decision depends on whether you're the home team or the visiting team. If you're the visiting team, you may think that I'm going to need more than one run to win the game. So if you don't score, then if the combination of batters that you have coming up can bunt, then why wouldn't you just play for one run? But when you're on the road, maybe you think you need more than that, and that's why Matheny didn't have O'Hearn bunt. Mondesi strikes out. And I think the other part of it is, Tom, is that you're wondering if something happens in your head a little bit during an extra inning where you've never been involved in games like this before. I mean, unless you played in the minor leagues the last couple of years, you haven't seen this very much, right? So a guy like Michael Franco, who's up there right now, I mean, this is do or die time right now. He's thinking that if I don't get this run in, we're going to lose the game because they're going to start with a runner at second base. So maybe you have a sense of urgency that you don't have in a normal extra inning game.
2-0 on Franco. Breaking ball is 3-0. Coming into tonight, there have been 16 extra inning games. The home team is 7-9. There have been 6 sacrifice bunts in extra innings this year. 4 of the 6 by the visiting team. Didn't see one here tonight. Not yet. Breaking ball in there, strike. 9 of the 16 have ended in the 10th inning. The longest games we've seen twice go 13. 3-1 the count. And there's ball 4 to Franco. And now it'll be Brett Phillips to bat for the first time in a game tonight since coming in defensively in the 8th inning. So runners at first and second, 2 outs. Phillips, a left-handed batter. Has 3 hits in his last 6 at bats. Breaking ball down and in. Spent most of last year their AAA club in Omaha. Spent the last month and a half roughly with a major league club. Brett Phillips. 2-0. It's a huge pitch coming up right here.
Well, he threw a 3-0 breaking ball to Franco.
Came with a gas there and 3-0.
Oh. I think even Casale's turning around and asking C.B. Buckner, where is that pitch?
All right, 3 balls and a strike. 2 on, 2 out. Phillips thought that was ball 4, and it appeared to be low.
And that Royals dugout just turned upside down when he rung up Phillips on that second strike.
He better be hacking here. 3-2 runners get started. And a tapper down to Votto. And they get the out at first base to retire the side. All right, Senzel will run. Reds in the bottom of the 10th have Castellanos, Votto and Suarez coming up. Every game on Fox Sports Ohio. We call it Reds Live, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Now tomorrow we have our special Reds Community Fund night, so it will be a 1-hour pregame show tomorrow. So Reds Live gets underway at 5:30 Eastern Time tomorrow afternoon. Our game coverage begins at 6:30, and we invite you to join us. Royals continue to run out their bullpen, which has just been nothing shy of spectacular here tonight.
Josh Staumont, and he has been spectacular. Boy, every one of these statistics is better than the one before him. 14 punch-outs in 7 innings. They've got a couple of guys down there that throw over 100 miles an hour, and Staumont's one of them. The only other pitcher to hit 101 this year is Jacob deGrom. All he needs is a couple more miles per hour to go along with that other stuff. So Senzel starts at second.
Yep, and you have the heart of the order coming up. Castellanos to start things off. Reds have not had a walk-off win here in 2020. Will number one be here tonight? Senzel the lead at second base. Staumont coming to Castellanos, and a fastball is 96 miles per hour away. The Reds scored 5 runs on 6 hits in the second and third innings combined. They've gone the last 6 innings without a run and 2 base hits. Single by Senzel in the 7th, double by Farmer in the 9th. Breaking ball. 2-0. Two and 0 the count on Castellanos. Senzel carries a winning run. Great speed at second. Big swing and a miss. Senzel clearly likes a heater. Or Castellanos, I beg your pardon. Senzel the runner at second base. 2-1 delivery. Staumont turns it loose. And I mean, that's 97 gas right down the can.
Not all fastballs are created equal.
Man. Two-two pitch on Nick Castellanos. Glance back at second base, and another fastball. He's in a rut at 97. Joey,
he better get to page 97.
And you better not stop there, because like you said, he's hit triple digits almost a dozen times. Here's a 2-2 delivery. Breaking ball just low.
Boy, it's a good idea by Castellanos to hold back off of that. That must have been awfully tough. Gearing up for 97, guy drops a breaking ball on you like that. I know a lot of hitters would have screwed themselves right into the dirt.
All right. Well, you get the old number one here on 3 and 2. We're about to find out. Winning run at second base. Bottom of the 10th inning. Castellanos waits. Fastball high. So you have 2 on for Votto. Votto singled to right in the first inning, had a runner at third with nobody out, tapped out to the third baseman in the third. He struck out against the left-hander Bubic in the fifth and drew a walk against Barlow leading off the eighth inning. So 1 of 3, on base twice. And all the chips are down here in the last of the 10th. Senzel and Castellanos at second and first. In the air, straight away center field. Senzel should tag on this unless it leaves a yard. And it's against the wall, and the Reds are going to win the game. On a base hit by Joey Votto, Senzel scores the first walk-off win of the year for the Cincinnati Reds. How about that? Votto cashes in here in the bottom of the 10th inning.
Wasted no time at all on the very first pitch he saw and almost left the yard.
So Joey Votto makes Reds history under these new rules in their first extra inning game of the season. He drives in the winning run. And the Reds in 10 are 6-5 winners here tonight.
97 in, 107 out. And that pushes center fielder Merrifield all the way to the wall. You made a great point there, Tom, about Senzel maybe wanting to tag up right here and just kind of misplayed right there at the wall by Merrifield.
No, that's Phillips out there.
It is Brett Phillips, excuse me. And Senzel comes around with the winning run. And that was an exciting finish.
Yeah, it really is. And Joey Votto kind enough to join us. Joey, after your interview with Jim Day last week, I mean, I'm humbled to be sitting here because that was like a multi-award winning interview you had with JD last week. First of all, congratulations. And, I mean, that's a little bit more Reds. Oh, look out. Whew. Oh, man, barely anything in that.
Anything in there.
Winger's got to do better than that, doesn't he? I mean, it's half empty.
Who's up there with you? Is that Chris Welsh? Tom,
yeah.
Chris, nice to talk to you guys. It's been a bit.
I know.
I feel like we haven't seen you and the guys in the clubhouse.
I know.
I haven't seen you guys around.
I know. We talk about it all the time. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You come back home, and now 3 wins in the last 4 games, and you like to think that maybe this is the start of something to kind of get this thing going a little bit.
Man, let's go. Absolutely, yeah. And think about it all the time. We play with urgency. We don't panic, but we play with urgency at all times. This is the sort of season that, you know, ask that of a group. So today was a big win. You know, we were sloppy today. Sloppy. I was sloppy. But, you know, to come through at the end, you know, it's good. I wish I didn't have to run. It would have been nice to have tried it, but we got to win. All that matters.
Hey, Joey, speaking of urgency, what do you think of this extra inning rule with a runner at second base?
You know, it's interesting. I'm not sure that I can't imagine they'll have this as in the playoff format in September and October. But you know, you never know. But it's not my favorite. But you know, the powers that be, the people that are making decisions, thought it was a good idea, and you know, we got to benefit from it today.
Hey, Joey, we could hear you up here screaming at yourself after the air a little bit early, and I don't bring this up to ask you about that in particular,
okay.
but you're the kind of guy, or are you the kind of guy that, you know, you make a mistake like that, you know, the other team gets an unearned run, whatever it is, you love Castillo, you feel terrible about it, you pride yourself on good defense, all that stuff. Are you thinking about that the rest of the game? Not in a way where it's going to affect you negatively, but are you thinking, man, I'm going to find a way to get that run back?
Oh, no, I think about that when I drive home, when I go to bed, when I wake up tomorrow, when I come to the ballpark tomorrow. You know, it's funny. Salvador Perez and I had a little conversation before one of my at-bats, and multi-time Gold Glove winner. I think he may have won the Platinum Glove. He has a reputation like Yadier Molina in the National League for being an elite defender. And I asked several guys, but I asked him, you know, if you go for 4 or for 5, how do you feel compared to when you make an error? And he says, I go crazy. Mm-hmm. I live with that. It makes me nuts. And I said, do you think it's because it's the one part of the game where we think we can be perfect at? And he said, yes, because I think I can be perfect every single day. And, you know, it's one of those things. Like, you know, I played with Brandon Phillips, who went 90 games without an error. I mean, it's something we pride ourselves in. It's embarrassing to us, and you know, we work to avoid that sort of thing.
Well, look, maybe that drive home will be all right tonight. I mean, you get the game-winning knock, it ain't so bad, right?
It'll be on my mind.
All right. Well, congratulations for getting the game-winning hit. Thanks for the time.
Of course. Thanks. Good talking to you.
Good talking to you, man.
Thanks, guys.
Be well.
Thanks.
Reds win it by a final count of 6-5 here tonight in 10 innings. Their first walk-off victory of the season. Jim Day and the gang. Sam LeCure standing by with all the post-game. Reds win. This one belongs to the Reds.